Let's get started here. Today we're going to be going over Rule 1, 2, and 3. Rule 1 is going to involve the game, the field, and the equipment. So most of this stuff is going to be, for the most part, out of our control. You know, a lot of the schools nowadays have fields that are going to be turf. So, you know, whatever's going to be going on there, you have two different types of fields that you're able to play on. Either a standard field, 110 yards by 53 and a third, but to 60 yards for a boys field, or 120 yards in length by 53 and a third to 60 yards for what's called a universal field. You know, the universal fields are essentially the combination of the boys and girls fields. And quite frankly, the only real major difference that you're going to encounter with that is a larger neutral zone. So essentially a larger midfield area from the top of the restraining line to the top of the restraining line. That's going to be a larger area. And the potential for a team to go to instead of a 5 and 5 yard substitution box, they could go to a 10 and 10 yard substitution box if they have a 120 yard universal field. You know, that's something that, you know, whether it happens or not, if it's fair for one, it's fair for the other. You know, if they have a standard boys field of 110 yards, then you're going to have a 5 and 5 yard substitution area. In addition, on either side, you're going to have a 5 yard coaches area as well for the coaches to be able to stand in. All right, Ryan, let's start moving ahead on these slides here. So like we said, welcome. We've gotten through all that and our introductions and found out about everybody. Let's continue. So obviously what we're looking to do is we're trying to gain a basic understanding of the game. And what's going to happen for everybody is what has happened to most anyone that starts refereeing lacrosse, is especially people that are coaches and people that are former players. You see a good play and something else happens, you have a tendency of enjoying watching a good play and forgetting that you're the one that blows the whistle to stop play. It's going to happen. I mean, you know, sometimes even experienced officials get caught watching the ball and not paying attention to, you know, the passer or the shooter, and then all of a sudden there's a hit that gets missed. It's going to happen. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to do our best to limit those times that those situations happen during a game. You know, we're going to try to limit those times where ball goes out of bounds and the guy just stands there as an official, a new official, and doesn't blow his whistle because the ball went out of bounds. It's happened. That's why I bring it up. So try to take your hats off as far as being a coach and being a player, and start thinking about the game from an officiating perspective. You're watching more things and you're watching areas of the field. You're not really watching the game. You're watching different areas of the field, as opposed to, you know, worrying about what's going on the backside. I got to pull guy. I'm trying to get my LSM off and things like that. So, you know, try to focus on how to look at the game as an official and not as a coach or player. Simple stuff. Nets here, they're all going to be 6x6. The balls, they all have to have meets NOCSAE, NFHS, NC2A standards. We use white balls. If you ever have a player that runs off the field to go retrieve a ball and they come back on the field with a ball other than the ball that you are playing, the color that you're playing with, then blow the whistle, say, hey, get rid of that pink ball, go grab the white one. Get rid of that green ball, go grab the white one. Because, you know, sometimes teams decide that they're going to warm up with a different color ball than the game ball, and they happen to forget and leave one down over there. So whatever ball goes out is the color that comes back in. I'm going to make the assumption that everybody here is familiar with all the positions on the field: attacks, middies, D, and goal. And then as we progress, we're going to go over where everybody stands for not only the game, but also for lineups and stuff like that. All right, here's a description of the field. You know, the areas that we're most concerned with is going to be the goal areas. Why? Because the goal areas are the areas that all the things happen. That's where everything happens. The next area where everything happens is going to be in that table area when players are coming on and off the field on the change. The next area that you're going to have concerns about is going to be the face-off area, the X in the middle of the field. Those are the areas where most of your serious fouls and serious situations happen. As you can see, the sub area is 10 yards total. What that means is this area, this where it says table area, is also known as the sub area. This is where players come in and off and on the field. When we have a 120-yard field, then they have the ability to make it bigger. And what happens is the cones on the sidelines where the coaches' areas are going to be out to the same area at the end where the wing area is. Most of you guys are probably a little bit familiar with that, but just gives you an idea on where things are. The coaches' areas extend from just shy of the table area line to about 5 yards inside of the box area. That does not change because the box gets bigger. Does not mean that the coaches area is going to end up allowing them to move further down the field. They only get that 5 yards down inside the zone, inside the box is where they're allowed to be, and that would be that. So what do you do if you end up going to a field and you see something that is inappropriate? The things that you're going to see that are going to be inappropriate most of the time are going to be the cones aren't going to be out on all 4 corners and across on the wing area. Where the word says sideline, you need cones over there, and the table area, you need the 2 cones on either side, identifying the table area. All right, you don't need any cones at the top of each each restraining line area. But as far as the dimensions, they're going to be out there for you when you are at a field and you are going to take a walk around or look around the field. What you're looking for is anything that may be hazardous or anything that you think might favor Team A or Team B. So here's the unified field. Essentially, things are all the same. It's just essentially going to be larger area. Sometimes they extend the substitution box area. That is all. You're playing on turf. All right. It could be a 20-yard substitution area. It could be a 25-yard. I'm sorry, box. It could be a 20-yard box, or it could be a 25-yard box. That's just going to end up being whatever they have set up. And either way, in the grand scheme of things, if it's fair for one, it's fair for the other. The only thing that you could see it's changed is you can see the substitution box down at the bottom has gone from being 5 yards to being 20 yards. That picture up top over there, that 110, it should be just 5 yards. It shouldn't be as the 10 yards and 10 yards. Any questions on that so far? All right.
Hey, Steve, I don't know if you want to check the links. I updated it, so you may be able to look at it if you want to give that a shot.
What's that?
The link for the training guide.
Oh, not right now. We're good. We're just rolling.
Sounds good.
All right. Crosses. All right. First question. Let me see. Let me go to Brandon. Brandon, how long is a short stick allowed to be? Do you have any idea on how long a short pole is allowed to be?
I believe 32 inches.
Nope.
No.
36.
36.
Nope.
That's 40. Isn't it?
40 to 42 inches.
Ah.
All right. Your cross, a short stick is 40 to 42 inches. That's gonna be your cross length, okay? Now, how long can a pole be? What's the
72
maximum?
inches.
What's the maximum length of a pole?
74 inches.
Close. 72 inches.
72.
I said
What
that.
would be
I said 72 first.
what would be the minimum length of a long pole?
70 inches.
Nope.
Shit.
52
Six-
inches.
Okay. Well, I tried.
All right, no problem. So here are some of the rules about the head of the cross. All right. So you can see these arrows sliding down. All right. That's for the shooting strings. Okay. You can't have shooting strings any further down on the cross than 4 inches from the top of the plastic of the cross, straight across. Now, the width of the cross is supposed to be 6 inches. And that is the maximum width, and the minimum width of the cross is supposed to be 3 inches. Okay, so there may be a diagram of that, but essentially the maximum width of the head of the cross is 6 inches. The minimum width is 3 inches. And the stop, there's only allowed to be one ball stop in the cross, and you can't have strings hanging off the cross on any more than one side, and that can only be 2 inches long. All right, a lot of that stuff is going to be like you're going to see someone with the strings on one side of their stick, and it's going to be like 6 inches down. You're going to know. I mean, the obvious stuff is going to just be so blaring that you're going to know that, all right, well, that's got to get fixed. So what do you do when you see a player that has a stick that's got strings too long? Hey, go off the field and fix it. That's their free one. If he comes back on the field and he doesn't fix it, well, then you give him a conduct foul and walk him up the ladder. If he comes out again, then you give him an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. Then you give him a 3-minute unsportsmanlike conduct foul. Just walk the guys up the ladder. We don't, give everybody a chance. But if they decide that they don't want to listen to you on those chances, then they're making their own decision. The only other thing I would say as far as the cross is concerned is face-off guys in high school are not allowed to have plastic. I'm not allowed to have tape on the plastic portion of the cross. Other players can, but face-off guys in high school are not allowed to have tape on the plastic head of the cross, on the throat. Okay? All right. Players' equipment, most important equipment for a lot of guys that the players that are out there that don't wear are going to be their cups. Cups are required for all the players. We're not checking. Okay? What we're doing in these situations with the coaches in our pregame, when we get together with the coaches, we're going to say to them something along these lines. Coach, to the best of your knowledge, are all the players properly equipped according to the rules set forth in the Federation rulebook? And their only answer is yes. If they start to be smart about it, Coach, this is what I need to be able to hear from you. Yes is the answer. And then you get your yes. Goalies, as you can see, aren't wearing elbow pads. Everybody wears mouthpiece. Goaltenders do have a throat guard that they must wear. But all that stuff is stuff that you'll be able to easily reinforce by looking in the rule book yourselves. And as I said, certify the coaches by saying, to the best of your knowledge, is everybody certified? Is everybody properly equipped according to the rules set forth in the Federation rulebook? All right. Okay. Moving on. So there have been some different requirement changes. There was an odd time frame where cups were not required for players, that they were just recommended, which I have no idea why anyone would ever go out in the field without a cup. And now everybody needs to have a heart guard. There are those heart guard additions, and they're, the shoulder pads have heart guards attached to them and stuff like that, the chest protectors. And you are not going to be going out to each individual player and checking these heart guards and stuff like that. All right. All that you're doing is you're going to be asking the coaches if everybody is properly equipped. When you go and you certify the coaches, you go together as a team with your partner. You never go to a coach by yourself, because what could potentially happen? Player gets hurt. Hey, the coach is then going to say that when the lawsuits happen, because that player got hurt and he wasn't wearing a heart guard on his, the coach is going to say, well, I never got certified. And essentially, if it's your word versus his, that's why you go with somebody. Cover your ass. All right. That's all you're doing, is you're covering your ass. That way you've got two people there that'll be able to validate the certification of the coach. Jerseys are going to be covering up the shoulder pads. There are no tinted no tinted shields inside the helmets. And the players are supposed to all wear the same, if they're going to wear sweatpants, they all wear the same one solid color. Obviously, most of the time you're going to see the goalies wearing sweatpants. You know, some of the other things that happen is you get guys that wear, you know, black hoodies, white hoodies, you know, underneath their stuff. In our season, since our season starts in February and stuff like that. You know, this will be your game management skill set. If you think that it's something that needs to be addressed, then go ahead and address it. You know, if they're clearly breaking the rules, there's no reason why you can't have them alter it. However, you know, sometimes we all make decisions and decide where we want to plant our flag. And if before the game begins, you want to plant your flag that way and establish that kind of relationship, then, you know, all right, I'm not telling you that you're wrong, because you're not wrong. You'd be absolutely right. I'm just suggesting that in your game management skills that you're going to acquire over a number of years, that may not be the time frame to plant your flag. The tinted shield, absolutely. Not having the shoulder pads covered, absolutely. You know, the hoodies, multicolored hoodies or sweatpants and stuff like that. If Coach A complains about Coach B, then yes, you're going to address it. If it's not something that gets brought up, you're not wrong for addressing it. Definitely not wrong for addressing it, but where are you going to plant that flag? Next. Some recent changes. Home team now is going to be wearing white. Jersey numbers are now going to be 0 through 99. Nobody is going to end up wearing 00 or anything like that. So that's stuff that's, you know, if you have a player on the field that two players are wearing the same jersey number and you notice it, correct it. Get some tape, coach, change that guy's number, change it in the book. It's an error that was made that is easily corrected. If you see it before the game, great. If you see it while the game's going on, then go ahead and correct it during a dead ball, during a dead ball timeout or in between quarters or something like that. All right. Football equipment, hockey equipment, that stuff is not allowed. Coaches having headphones talk to the players on the field, that's not allowed. If they're going to be wearing anything religious, anything as far as for safety, that stuff is going to be allowed. Once again, these are these situations where you decide, you know, I mean, if someone's wearing god awful jewelry, then you know, you need to address that. But essentially, if someone's wearing anything religious or anything for medical reasons, that is allowed. Usually, the people that are the upstanding coaches and programs, they usually address it with you during the coaches meeting before the game. All right. Does anyone have any questions real quick on Rule 1? Anything on Rule 1, guys?
I think I'm good.
Good.
No, sir.
Oh,
All right.
good.
I'm you know, going through it, trying to make it at least a little bit enjoyable, but whatever. Anyway, game personnel. Officials, timekeepers, scorekeepers, players, captains, in-home coaches, sideline managers, all the kind of good stuff. So, out of all those people that are listed right there, who are the people that are there to help you administer the game?
Timekeeper and scorekeeper.
Timekeeper, scorekeeper, yep.
Sideline manager.
All right. What do we think the sideline manager's duties are?
Manage the box.
All right.
Penalty minutes.
Okay. We're gonna go through it, but quickly, the timekeeper, that's the person that's gonna be keeping the clock, game clock, and potentially even penalty clock as well. Scorekeeper is gonna be the one that's gonna be keeping an accurate book. The players, they're just the players. The captains, that would be someone who I would figure would be my assistant at maintaining the other players' composures on the field. That person is placed in that captain role because there is something about that person's character, and that's why they're made the captain, because the coach feels that that athlete has got the best decorum to be able to interact with the coach, with the officials as needed, and interact with his players to make sure that his players are able to maintain their composure. Coaches, what situation do you think that we would end up needing the coaches to give us assistance?
Fight breaks out during the game. Coaches keep the sidelines in check.
If a fight breaks out in the game, coaches are going to control the sideline. Unfortunately, there have been too many situations in this state and other states where spectators' involvement has an effect on what's going on in the game. So the coaches are also there to help you manage the game. And if there is some people that need to be removed, if the sideline manager is not there, the sideline manager is usually a staff member of the school, athletic director, assistant athletic director, a teacher. That's their job to kind of do that. If there is no sideline manager, then the coach would be the one that would go over and would manage the players and take care of whatever needs to go on with the spectators and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of duties that coaches seem to not think that they don't have any control over, and they do. According to the rules, the coaches absolutely, coaches shall assist and I'm reading here, Section 3, coaches shall assist the officials in keeping the game under control at all times. It shall be their duty upon the request of an official to control effectively actions of spectators not in conformity with the standards of proper conduct. That is a section that the coaches do not seem to think that it is worth being in the book, but it is in the book, and if used properly, it is your friend. All right, let's move on to where we got to go. Officials. Okay, so before the game begins, there's usually two or in our state now, we are going with 3 officials. You have a referee, you have a referee, an umpire, and you also have a field judge. All right. So the referee is the one that's essentially more often than not going to be the senior official or an official that we're trying to move up into the ranks and stuff like that. They're the ones that's going to be initiating the conversation with the coaches during the pregame. They're the ones going to be doing the coin toss. They're the ones going to be doing the lineups and the explanation to the players during the lineups and stuff like that. And the referee will then defer after he's done speaking first to his partners, to his umpires and his field judge. And then if there are any situations that happen on the field, let's say that there is a discrepancy in the score, the referee is going to have the final say on any disputes that are going on, whether it be a dispute of a goal, whether it be a dispute of something that is out of the ordinary. The referee is not there to dispute his partner's calls on the field. Once that game begins, everyone has equal responsibilities. No one has any more or any less responsibilities in the conduction of the game, the conduction of face-offs, throwing penalties, start blowing the whistle, starting the game over, moving up and down the field, getting into their positions. So the referee's main job is before the game even begins. The only time the referee is going to have any other situations is when there is some sort of controversy. If he has to bring both coaches together and have a discussion with both coaches about things that are going on, whether it be a table issue, a player coming out on the field too early, released or not released by the table administrators. All right. Here's all the timekeeping stuff. More often than not, I am not seeing a horn at the table because pretty much they use the horn that's on the game clock up in the stands. At the end zone, and you're going to have multiple people at the tables. Some teams have their own scorekeeper there to keep track. The home team scorekeeper is the official scorekeeper. But there's always multiple people there and stuff like that. Those individuals that are there as a scorekeeper, timekeeper, all right, they are to always keep their mouth shut and keep their opinions to themselves. If they do anything to get involved in the game, whether it be as another coach, whether it be to start disputing anything that you've been doing on the field, those people must leave. They are an off-field official, and they are part of your team. And if they get involved in any way in a negative scenario, you need to have them removed from the game so that way you can take care of your job the way that it needs to be taken care of. Like I said, scorekeeper's got the book and the score. The score is going to end up being up on the usually up on a scoreboard at the end of the end zone. All right. All your players that are here, and then your specialists, whether it be your Fogos, whether it be your long LSMs, long stick middies. Everyone has got usually a specific thing that they do. I think that we all here know that the goalie is the only person that has a stick head that is larger than everybody else. Does anybody have any idea on how big a goalie stick can be? How wide can a goalie stick be?
10 inches.
12 to 16 inches. All right, so these are all the guys that are out there on the field. And at no time can you play the game without a goaltender on the field. That would be the only player that has to be on the field for you to continue the game. If a goalie gets injured, they're going to dress somebody. What I would suggest, if they're going to be dressing somebody that was someone out there on the field or something like that, and they don't have a regular substitute goalie, I would go over to the head coach again, and I would say, Coach, to the best of your knowledge, all your players are properly equipped according to the rules set forth in the Federation rulebook. And that'll just get him thinking to then turn and ask that attackman that he's putting in net, hey, idiot, you got a cup on? It's just an added safety measure to cover your own ass. That's all that you're looking to do. All right. That's all you're looking to do with that. And what that does, that'll give you credibility with the coach, because essentially you're doing something that he's not even thinking about, because he's all worried about the player being injured, trying to get somebody else on, trying to focus on the game and stuff like that. But you're giving him a second to kind of catch his breath. All right, hey, you know what? I might have just forgotten something, but this referee just covered my ass on this situation that might have been a worse situation if I didn't get it covered. So I give credit to that. I give that credit to the referee, and you gain credibility in a blink of an eye. Coaches, we've gone over the certification, the coach's responsibility to everybody, acts responsible, it acts courteous. And other coaches, you will use your game management as far as whether or not you do or do not wish to speak to any of the head coaches, the assistant coaches. I'm gonna make a joke here. It's a bad joke. The Lander coach, man, he's a friggin' no. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But essentially, if the coaches are able to come to you respectfully and you feel it's a question that's easily answered, go right ahead. The only thing I'm going to say to you when you are speaking to coaches, whether it be the head coach or whether it be the assistant coach, please keep your eyes still focused on the field, okay? If play is going on and they're trying to talk to you, which usually is what always happens, keep your eyes focused on the field. You can still hear and answer the coach, whoever it may be. But if once you turn your eyes off the players, that's when the shit hits the fan and you miss something and now everybody's up your ass. So when you are speaking to the coaches, keep your eyes focused on the field, answer his questions. If there's something that you're not sure of, coach, I will speak to my partner and I'll get back to you. At least the coach now knows that he's been heard, okay? And that answer alone, if you don't know it, say, coach, I'm not sure. I will get back to you. I'll have my partner get back to you. At least you're gaining credibility as opposed to giving them the wrong answer, because more often than not, those guys know what the right answer is. So if you then tell say something else, you're just giving them ammunition to get on your case even more. But if you tell them, hey, I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you on that, then it's left in a stagnant stage, and you're going to then be able to get back to them. And quite frankly, the times that I've had situations where I told coaches, hey, I don't know what my partner had there. I'll talk to him and then I'll get back to you. I'm running up and down the field and they don't even say anything. I'm not going to go back and initiate that conversation again. All right. But if they say, hey, what'd you find out? Then I'll tell them. But I'm not going to go there and start initiating that conversation, because it still might be an answer that he might not want to hear. But if he never hears it in the first place, I never have that volatile interaction. Move on. All right. In-home essentially is the player that's going to end up serving a penalty for any of the coaches' situations. That's going to be the starting attackman, the first attackman in the book. That in-home needs to be on the field during this lineup picture that you see right over here. Okay, so let's make the assumption that the referee to the left is the head referee. So number 13 in black, he would be the in-home for the black team. Okay, no, actually that's a poll. So essentially it would be number 9, and the other official on the far right. Number 9 is a short stick, so he would be the attackman, first attackman in the book. But either way, it's going to end up being either number 9, 17, or 4. That's the first one listed in the book. All right, move on. Captains, every team's going to have 1 per game. If there's more than 1, then what you're going to do is you're going to get a designated speaking captain. Usually what happens is before the game, the referee is going to be standing out at the mid center X, and the 2 other officials are going to grab the captains from each team. One's going to grab team A, one's going to grab team B, and you're going to be on the ends of the restraining lines. And then the home team's going to start walking out first, and then the visiting team's going to be walking out second. The home team is going to be positioned at center X, facing into the player's bench, and the visiting team is going to have their back to the visitor's bench. And what you're doing as the 2 officials, you're going to bring them out and you're going to tell the captain. First, you're going to ask them, hey, who's the speaking captain? So that's the person that's going to be next to the referee, so that way he doesn't have to be yelling and screaming, and he can communicate to the guys during the beginning of the game and in the pregame. All right. And sometimes things you can do is you can ask them, hey, do you know what you're gonna call before you come out? Because there have been many a college game where 21 has won the toss, and he's like, hey, coach, what do you want? The captain should know that already. The captain should have that, as opposed to making it look, it just appears awkward. It just appears unprofessional. And the visitor ends up calling the coin toss. And essentially they're going to call the toss before you throw it up in the air. All right. And you want to try to catch the coin in your hand. And whether you flip it or not is going to be up to you. I will tell you, on these turf fields, I've been letting it drop in the ground. And it is not the mechanic to be used. You're supposed to catch it, throw it up, catch it in your hand. Whether or not you flip it over or not, catch it and then flip it over, that will be up to you. But either way, try to take something out there with you with a little bit of weight, a silver dollar or something like that. Hopefully we're going to have some SCLOA coins in the future for everybody to have. Next. So if there's a retriever, they can't be in the same uniform as the team. They are not allowed behind the goal. Usually they're off on the sides by the cones at the end lines, and they'll be able to get the balls and throw them in and keep things moving. Make sure they have a helmet on, and that's pretty much all that's going to go on there. You just don't want to have anybody behind the end line. This is to include photographers. No photographers are allowed to be at the end line. Photographers can be in the area designated to them according to the rules, and there's a section for that in the rule book diagram. Game length, we play 4 12-minute stop time quarters according to NFHS rules. JV games can sometimes vary. In South Carolina, we play 10-minute stop clock games. Youth games are going to always vary from minute to minute. After the first quarter, there's a 2-minute intermission, 10 minutes at halftime. After the third quarter, there's a 2-minute intermission. If there happens to be an overtime, there's a 2-minute intermission. You're going to bring the captains to the center again, and you're going to do another coin toss. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be picking the which end zone they want to defend. To go back a little bit, what are the 2 things on the coin toss if you win the coin toss that you get to pick as the captain? John, what do you think?
The goal that you're starting to defend. The goal you're defending in the first quarter.
Okay, is that it? Or is there another choice that there might be, Hayden?
I got nothing, to be honest
AP.
with you.
AP.
Jordan, what do you think, Jordan?
Alternate possession.
Yeah, alternate possession.
Alternate. So when there's a coin toss, all right, when the team wins the coin toss, they get to choose either first alternate possession or which goal they wish to defend for the first and third. Alternate possession what that is if there's ever a situation where the officials are unsure of which team should have possession of the ball, then alternate possession rules come into play. So if let's say there's a face-off and the 2 players taking the face-off send it screaming right out of bounds, right in the midfield. Or actually in the midfield, we'd have another face-off. If they send it out of bounds and it goes past the restraining line, but then nobody touches it, that could be your alternate possession situations. If you have a loose ball and you have an injury from a player and no one has possession of the ball and you blow the whistle, that would be another more common alternate possession situation. And later on, as we go through all these rules, we'll go over more alternate possession situations.
Hey guys, my daughter is crying. She's 2. I'm gonna step away for about 15 seconds. I'll be right
You
back.
got it, man. Do what you get. Family comes first. Go ahead, continue. All right, stopping the clock. We're stopping the clock on out of bounds. Essentially when there's a shot that happens, all right, and it goes out on the end line, what you want to do is you want to put your hand up like the dead ball picture that you see right over there. And what that does, that gives you a second or two to be able to be sure that you're pointing in the right direction. And what you're pointing is which way the ball is going to be going, which team has possession of the ball. All right. So when there's a shot and now, the defending team is now going to get it. Your arm is going to go up, and you're going to be pointing upfield, and that's who's going to get it. If the ball goes out of bounds and the team that's shooting is going to get the ball again, the attacking team, your arm's going to go up, and then you're going to keep pointing downfield, okay? And that way, that tells everybody who's going to be getting the ball. Nonverbal communication is very big in this sport because there are so few of us and we are so spread apart from each other and from the coaches that the bigger that your signals can be, the better it is for the communication. We do have verbal communication a lot, but the nonverbal communication and learning all the signals and when to use them is what's going to help you move efficiently throughout the game during the season and in the future. When you're going to blow your whistle, make it a nice hard tweet. Getting whistle, stagnant whistles like that to tweet. That's something that I'm going to do when I need to make sure that I'm getting the attention of my partner because, hey, you know what? He's pointing the wrong way and the wrong team is getting possession of the ball. I need to make sure that the right team gets possession of the ball, kind of thing. That would be just an example. But whenever you're going to be blowing your whistle to stop play, loud, hard, and crisp, nothing weak. A weak whistle sends indecisiveness. That's what it tells everybody. Next. All right, when we're going to start the clock, a nice whistle. For a 2 count, you're going to wind your arm all the way around, okay? And that's going to let everybody know that letting the timekeeper who could be up in the bleachers, hey, get the clock going again. That's your signal to him, and your whistle is getting the signal to the players that you're going to have play going again. So, too many guys when they're doing their signals, sometimes they kind of do like a little twirl as if they're a showgirl or something like that. Get that arm and shoulder all the way around when you're going to be making your signal go. All right. So, that's the nonverbal communication part of it that is important. Next. So there's a lot of timeout situations that happen in the game, and understanding when those timeout situations happen, and being alert and attentive to them. What that means is when player A is being surrounded by 3 player Bs, you guys are coaches. More often than not, what's going to happen? Coach is going to call a timeout. In high school, you can call a timeout anywhere on the field, unlike in college where you've got to be below the restraining line. But keep your ears open in those situations when you think that, hey, you know what, this might be a good time for a timeout. So when you're going to call a timeout, first, make sure that the coach that's calling the timeout, that his team has possession of the ball. Any team can call a timeout when the ball goes out of bounds on the end line or on the sideline. The team that is not in possession of the ball, okay, the team that is not entitled to possession of the ball is not allowed to call a timeout when there's an on-field whistle, like a loose ball hold, a loose ball push. That's going to be just a quick whistle, and we're going to get going. The team that is not entitled to the ball, they cannot call a timeout. The team entitled to the ball, they can call a timeout. 2 timeouts in the first half, 2 timeouts in the second half. Nothing carries over. 1 timeout per team per overtime quarter. So 2 timeouts in the first half, 2 timeouts in the second half. If you play 1 overtime, you only get 1 timeout. And if you play another you only get 1 timeout in that 4-minute overtime quarter. Okay? So when you're going to call a timeout, you're going to blow your whistle. Blowing your whistle first before you make any of your signals matters. The reason why it matters is because in that short time frame, if somebody's calling a timeout and you put your hand up, and then that team that's called the timeout now shoots and scores, and you didn't blow your whistle, well, now you're going to have, oh, no, I don't want timeout. I don't want timeout. You're going to have some confusion, and you never want to create confusion for yourself. All right, you want to control the things that you can control. So if you hear the coach calling a timeout, you know he has a timeout, blow the whistle, then put your hand up. Timeout. And then what I do is I point, you're going to point over to the bench. All right. If it's the blue bench, timeout blue. If it's the white bench, timeout white. All right. We'll get into the shot clock timer, but essentially the timeout lasts 2 minutes. And what you do is if you get a shot clock timer that gives you either a 20 or a 140, that's going to time your timeout. More often than not, you guys don't really end up using it. Okay. You kind of have an idea in your head on how long the timeout should be, whether you're going over or not. Some of the things that you're going to be doing during this timeout, you are going to be checking sticks, checking players' equipment. You're going to be confirming with your partner the score. You're going to be talking to your partners about things that are going on in the game. Hey, you know what? I think that, you know, these guys are getting a little bit out of control here, so we need to kind of rein it in a little bit. We need to, you know, do a little bit better with this, or, you know, that's the time that you have to be able to communicate nice, close, and personal with your partner. So you want to be able to discuss things with your partner in those situations. You want to go over the stick lengths of the players. You want to make sure that whatever it is that's going on, that you take and use those times to your advantage. You know, sometimes guys just kind of blow it off and they don't necessarily get together and they stay far apart. That to me is a recipe for failure. I think that when you don't take advantage of the times to be able to gather up, and you may have a smooth game going. The game might be, there could be nothing going on. You could have a nice, easy, smooth game. Well, you know what? Still talk, still get together, still talk. Hey, you know what? You're doing a good job here. Everybody can use a little bit of positive reinforcement from time to time. Next. Timeouts, 2 for each team. We can see the timing and what we're going to be doing, and our scorecard is going to be able to mark it down and stuff like that. The one thing you want to make sure that you do for the timeouts is that the players go to the sidelines. The coaches don't come on the field. The coaches stay off the field, and the timeouts happen off the field. Okay? So just as that's happening, make sure that the coaches stay off the field and they stay on the sidelines. All the players go to the sidelines, and that's it. Some tips when you're checking sticks. All right. Just kind of jot that down on your scorecard about what stick number you got and stuff like that from whatever team it is. And after you check it, if it's good, you can just put it down, or the assistant coach might come over and come get the stick from you. If not, just kind of lay them down right in the middle of the field, wherever you guys are. Do not ever flip a stick to a player. All right. We just lay him down on the ground and that's it, and walk away. That would be flipping the stick, just looks unprofessional. And if the players aren't able to flip the stick, because that's a penalty in the rule book, then why should we? Let's not send the wrong signal. Go ahead. Official timeout. Hey, you know what? Something went on. My time. In this situation, there's a dog on the field or something like that. All right. So, you know, you could have a loose ball, or maybe that dog went out in the field and the dog picked up the ball. You know, I don't know. That seems like a very crazy situation to me. But that would be a time that you would use your alternate possession. You know, there could be an injured player, your time, you know, something like that. There could be something going on where the clock goes out. Let's say the clock just, you know, the lights go out or something like that. You know, use those, you know, kind of get it figured out and make sure that you get everybody all together on the same page as quickly as possible. So like I said, injuries, stop and play, call the trainer. If there happens to ever be a game where you have any player that you feel may have experienced a concussion, have gotten unconscious or something like that, we will be showing you the game report about where to file that and stuff like that. At any given point that you think that you have something going on during a game that you think smells funny, put it in your game report. Call up your assigner, let them know. It's better off letting your assigners, letting the association know what's going on than having us hear about it 3-5 days later and then having to go back and ask you. Because now your memory might not be as good as it was right then and there. So players that have any sort of unconsciousness, there's going to be a concussion portion that is going to be sent to you guys to be able to take on the South Carolina High School League website, and it gives you a good briefing on what to do when a player's experience concussions. Move on. Mercy rule, only in the second half. It's a 12-goal difference. Once there's a 12-goal difference, the clock runs. And here's where it gets kind of really funny. Once you get to that 12-goal difference, then that clock doesn't stop. So after the first half, Team A is up 12-0. The third quarter is going to begin with a running clock, and it won't stop being a running clock through the third and fourth quarter. Even if after the third quarter, the score is now 12-12, it still keeps running. It used to be different. Let's not get you guys confused about what it used to be. What it is now is once there's a 12-goal difference, the clock runs and the clock does not stop, and it continues through the end of the game.
Is that JV and varsity?
What's that?
Is that JV and varsity?
That would be JV and varsity. Yes, JV and
Okay.
varsity.
Injuries, though, it stops.
Yes. I mean, if there's an injury, the clock is going to stop. If there's an official timeout, the clock is going to stop. But if someone's essentially putzing around or something like that, it's not going to stop for Team A who doesn't have enough balls at the end line. That clock is just gonna keep on running. Next, we discussed quickly about the overtime 4-minute periods. Call the captains in. Visitor once again calls a coin toss for the choice of the goal only. The alternate possession stays at how it was. Now the alternate possession switches. If there's a situation where you go to alternate possession, then it goes to the other team. And it could keep happening as the game goes on. But however it ended in the fourth quarter, that's how it stays in the overtime. Okay? That's what it means by alternate possession stays the same. Just because you choose alternate possession in the beginning of the game doesn't mean that you get it throughout the entire game. Alternate possession keeps switching back and forth from team to team. And they like to call it sudden victory, golden goal, whatever. I know sudden death, but first goal wins. 1 timeout per overtime period per team. Interruption of play, whether it be a muddy field, rainy field, lightning, thunder, we are waiting 30 minutes, and that clock can keep restarting and restarting. These are the times where, time is money, but you're there to do a professional job. And if there's lightning in the area, every lightning strike would be 30 minutes. Every thunder, 30 minutes. The clock just keeps restarting. Get everybody off the field. That's where your field manager, your game manager is going to be able to help you with all that kind of stuff. And the coaches are able to help you with all that kind of stuff. I would not take lightly lightning in the area. No matter where you are in that game, do not shirk your responsibilities in this situation. It will only be bad for you. Whether even if nothing happens, if we find out that the game continued and there was lightning in the area, I'm sure there could be some potential disciplinary actions. So there's no reason to not cover your own ass. Just lightning, thunder in the area, get them off the field. USA Lacrosse does have this thing called Kahoot. I've never gone on it. Ryan, are you able to kind of fill in a little bit of this Kahoot stuff? Because I don't know a darn thing about it.
Yeah, I have not used it personally because I know we talked about it last year, but one thing led to another. But yeah, I haven't.
I'll
Delved into.
take a look at it and find out. It seems to be some sort of a learning platform or something like that. I guess here you go. If you guys are interested in getting on Kahoot and being able to use it, being able to do some training on your own, then go right ahead. That's always encouraged. We have one more slide or no? All right, so we've gone over rule 1 through 3, guys, and this was the easiest rule of us to be able to go over. A lot of it is very basic stuff and whatever, but you guys all have a background in lacrosse, some sort of background in lacrosse, one way or the other. So a lot of this stuff probably to you feels a little bit remedial, and some of this stuff you're never even going to have to use or focus on in the game. Or any game you attend until it actually happens. So it's better to know it and not have to use it than not know it and always need it. So as far as this first section, does anybody have any questions or concerns about the things that we went over? Please feel free to ask anything that you feel like.
Are we gonna get a 2024 rule book by chance?
There will be a 2024 rule book that is going to be mailed out to everybody, whether it be something that is going to come to the assigners and then the assigners mail it out to everybody, or whether or not it's going to go to one centralized location from the South Carolina High School League, and then we will then, as a chapter, incur the mailing out cost to everybody. But everyone is going to go and get their 2024 lacrosse rulebook, and all that stuff is dependent upon everybody kind of registering themselves with the South Carolina High School League, so that way all the new users, we can then get you guys the invitation to the arbiter system, which is our assigning system, so that way we can then assign you games and stuff like that.
So I'm already using Arbiter. Would that transfer over as well?
The only thing that you'll still need to be invited into our new group, but you're going to use the same password and login.
Gotcha.
That's not going to change. It's just going to be, you're going to need to set up like your blocks. If you use Arbiter right now, you're familiar with setting up blocks and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's not going to, the Arbiter does not allow you to cross portal your blocks. So you're gonna have to whatever assigning system you have and use, you're gonna have to block on each one individually.
Right.
Ryan, do you have some administrative stuff that you need to get these guys up to date on or anything like that?
As far as sharing the slides, or
Well, not so much sharing the slides, but everybody here, they've obviously, I'm assuming they've all signed up on the South Carolina High School League website, right?
I recognize most of them, but I took a screenshot of everyone that's here. But
Okay.
who said they haven't? I can
I have not yet, because I wasn't sure, because I'm not going to do the spring season.
gotcha.
So I don't know.
Well, yeah, that being said, Rob, we can send you the invite, all right? But then when we have these spring tournaments, the only way you're going to find out about any tournaments going on in the state is if you're included. So
Okay.
when you send me an email, I will then get you that invite, and then all you do is just block yourself, for everything in South Carolina.
Gotcha. Is there a rules test that would happen in spring?
Okay, yes, there'll be a rules exam that everyone's going to need to take. All brand new officials are going to take not only the South Carolina High School League exam, but also the USA Lacrosse exam as well. And that might sound redundant. And it kind of is, because some of the questions are going to be the same. But what we'd like you to do is we'd like you to take like the youth rules exam. So that way, when the spring comes, because some of those youth rules are going to be different at the different age brackets in USA lacrosse as opposed to NFHS. All right. All you're going to need to do is end up taking the South Carolina High School League rules exam through the Arbiter system. Okay.
Right.
There's going to be a link to an administration portal to the
Mhm.
South Carolina High School League, and that's where you're going to end up being able to take the exam that gets you certified for the state.
And that qualifies for a year, basically, right?
That lasts for a year, yes. Listen, man, I've been taking these exams since 2000. I'm an ice hockey referee since 1989, and every year I've got to take different exams for whatever I'm doing. I have like 12 different assigning platforms that I work off of, and none of them cross reference with each other or anything like that. I've got to keep up with all that kind of stuff, and it is a pain in the ass. What else you got, guys?
Oh, Steve, I'll put the links in the chat for the 1 or 2 people that have not signed up for the Google Forms. So
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions?
For some of these email addresses and different associations, whatever I have to log into, is there somewhere on the South Carolina lacrosse website or something, or just so I have my, I don't see the chat up here.
Sure. All the things that you're going to ever need are going to all be on the scloa.org. All right, all the stuff you're going to need. So the chat, if you need to get to the chat, if you bring your mouse down to the bottom of the page, you should be able to see where it says chat and stuff like that.
Chat. Oh, the chat box. Okay, I got it.
Yep, chat box, and then that'll pop up, and I'll have all the information that you're looking for that we just posted up there.
So with the videos, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So with the videos, like tonight's recording, it's gonna when do y'all anticipate it going up so I can take a listen, because I missed part of it. I told them earlier.
No, that it's being recorded. If anybody wants to have the video sent to them so that way they can catch up and do whatever it is that they need to do, just please send an email to Ryan Bailey, and he'll be able to send it off to you. This session that we did today. Ryan, just provide them your email address in the chat, and then if you need it, send Ryan an email, and he will forward this session on to you.
even easier if they go to the website, I'm putting in the chat right now. It's the scloa.org training resources. So that's where some of the videos from last year, and then with today being the first training session, obviously we'll upload it fairly soon, but that's where everything will be uploaded rather than having to send out multiple emails and clogging everybody's inbox.
Okay, thank you.
There you go, guys. He is phenomenal with all this stuff. He is fantastic. I would not be able to do the things that get accomplished in this chapter if it wasn't for having support from Ryan the way that I do.
Dr. Electronics, baby. So in Illinois, there's you pay a fee to GLOA, the local association, I guess.
Okay, so let's go over that. Anyone that is a brand new to officiating, and this is not you, Rob. Anyone that is brand new to officiating, we are going to waive your $50 SCLOA dues. All right. But if you have officiated before in other chapters and stuff like that, you're familiar with the way things work and stuff like that, and you know what has to go on, you're still going to be required to pay the $50 SCLOA dues. Send me an email, Rob, and we could talk on the side.
Okay, got it.
All right, but other guys that are going to be actively officiating in the regular season, high school season, they that have officiated in other areas, like the president of the chapter up in Long Island, he just moved to Myrtle Beach. I'm actually playing golf with him tomorrow. He's paying his $50 SCLOA dues. So, you know, it's not, you know, abnormal, but guys like Andrew, Brandon, those guys have never refereed lacrosse ever before. We're going to waive their dues just kind of as there's a lot of cost in getting uniforms and all that kind of stuff for the guys. And that being said, we are getting some uniform packages and stuff like that together that hopefully by next session or the session after that, we'll have an availability for you guys to go somewhere and buy what it is that you're looking for the uniforms, shirts, and all the things that you need. I do have a bunch of shirts available. If anybody, you know, I got a bunch of used ones sitting around in my house. So anybody that's local that needs, I can just give it to you.
You're waiving our dues, but we have to buy the beers, right?
I wasn't going to tell you guys that till after we're done with all this online training. So you've just essentially blown my cover there, buddy. All right, guys. Anyone have anything else that they need some information on, whether it be uniforms, whether it be dues, whether it be where you sign up at and all that other kind of stuff with the South Carolina High School League or anything?
Nope.
No, sir. Good.
All right. If at any point you ever have any questions that come up that you haven't thought of, then just send me an email. I'll be able to take care of it. And thank you very much for participating in today's event. And I look forward to working with you guys the remainder of the season, whether it be on here or on the field. And thank you for joining the SCLOA, guys. Take it easy.
Steve, Ryan, thank you
Have a good
very
one.
much.
Have a good night.
Hey, thanks everybody for coming.